Good afternoon, dear friends. So, hope everybody is taking due care to fight against the COVID-19 as per the precautionary norms published by the authorities. So, as a post MSc syllabus of design of concrete structures 1, there are 3 different units. One is the design of a slab, then the design of column is the other unit, and the last one is the design of footing. So, out of these 3 units, the design of footing is little time consuming, or it requires a lot of understanding, and therefore, I am going to start with the footing design. So, let us start with this design of footing. So, as per the footing, the word footing is the word related or word generally referred in civil engineering, which is the lowest part of the structure. So, this footing is responsible to take care of all load, all imposed load on the structure. So, the load may be the dead load, live loads, or the load because of any other effect. So, all these loads are finally going to transfer to the footings, and footing is a responsible structural member which will transmit this load to the soil. So, that is the role of footing. So, as per the footing is concerned, so footing broadly divides into the 2 parts. One is called as the shallow footing and the other one is called as the deep footing, or it is also called as the foundation, shallow foundation and the deep foundation. The difference between the shallow and the deep will based on the depth of footing. So, if the depth of footing is less than the width of footing, then that footing is called as a shallow foundation, whereas when the depth of footing is more than the width of footing, it is called as a deep foundation. So, the various examples of shallow foundations, so ordinary isolated footing, then the mat foundation, combined footing, and our raft. So, these are the examples of the shallow foundation, whereas the pier, the pile foundations or the caissons are the examples of deep foundation. So, this is the theoretical background what we required to have before starting the RCC design. One more thing that I would like to point out here. So, as per the soil mechanics is concerned, the depth of footing as per the Rankines. So, the depth of footing or depth of foundation as per Rankine's theory is given by formula P divided by gamma 1 minus sin phi divided by 1 plus sin phi bracket square. So, this is the theoretical formula which will going to address the various components from the soil mechanics. So, do not get confused here. So, the P is nothing but the shape bearing capacity of the soil, gamma is the unit weight of material, whereas the phi is the angle of repose. So, phi is the angle of repose. So, in general practice, if your footing design going to have this particular formula, and what we are going to find out from this iteration. So, we are going to find out so called the depth of footing here. So, this is one parameter where we can interpret the depth from the soil mechanics concept. So, once you are having the idea of the depth of footing from the soil mechanics point of view, then we will start with the structural point of view. The other important points that as per the footing design is considered, there are 2 broad categories. One is called as flexible based design and the other one is called as a rigid based design. So, it is going to change how the pressure is exerted from the soil towards the footing. So, in case of this flexible based design, I will draw a small sketch for your better understanding. So, footing is something like this. So, here also I will draw the sketch. So, in case of rigid based design, the length of footing is generally large compared to the flexible based design. So, in the flexible based design, generally the pressure distribution is uniform, and what we are going to follow, in design of this isolated footing is the pressure distribution is uniform, whereas in case of rigid based design, the pressure distribution is somewhat like this. So, the maximum pressure will come at the center, whereas at the end the pressure will goes on decreasing. So, this is the difference between the rigid based design and the flexible based design in case of foundation design. So, we are going to stick at this flexible based designs as per the shallow foundations or shallow foundation, specifically isolated foundation is there. So, this is the isolated foundation what we are going to discuss today. Now, what are the general criteria to be followed? So, I will write here the general criteria to followed. General criteria of foundation design. So, we will summarize the point in point wise. So, we are going to follow the design of the footing as per the isolated foundation system is concerned on the basis of wide beam analogy. What is this wide beam analogy? So, we have studied this, we are going to design we are going to find out, or we are going to equate the mu with the mu limit, and this mu limit is governed by the grade of steel. So, in this case, if we can use the formula 0.149 FCK BD square, if the grade of steel is Fe 250. So, this formula will going to revise. So, this is the revision what we have studied so far. So, this is for Fe 415, and for Fe 300 it is going to change again. This is for Fe 500. This is for Fe 500. So, these formulas we are going to utilize when we are going to get the idea of we are going to utilize the idea of equating the bending moment to get the relevant depth of foundation. So, this is the general criteria of the footing. This is the first criteria. The second important criteria, that whatever the footing we will design, that footing should undergo by two check, or in the criteria one more point I would like to add. So, the depth of footing is generally governed by the two criteria. Either the footing depth will be governed by the bending moment criteria or the punching shear criteria. So, out of these two criteria we are supposed to believe on the optimum value or the maximum value one can say. So, this is the related to the criteria number 1. So, in criteria 1, so I have said just now. So, this is the bending moment criteria or the punching shear criteria. The other or the second guidelines we are supposed to follow. So, the footing, the design of the footing will be the complete one when it is going to govern the two important checks. Those checks are called as one way shear and check for two way shear. For this one way shear, we are supposed to, or we are going to refer the critical section which is exactly equal to the depth of effective depth of footing from the face of column. Whereas, in the two-way shear, the critical section what we are going to refer is or is assumed to be located at a distance of the effective depth divided by 2 from the face of column. So, these are the two other criteria one has to follow, and the last one, that minimum depth at edge should be 150 mm. So, these are the general guidelines to be followed in the isolated footing design. So, let us understand this footing design in a broad view by considering one problem. So, in this problem I would like to address the issue of column design. So, we will consider one particular case where the structure is subjected to axial load, and for that axial load what the precautions we are supposed to follow while designing the two structural members at a time. So, we will try to understand what the design procedure is there for the design of column and footing together. So, what is the problem statement here? So, I will write the problem statement. So, the problem statement is so for column size of 500 by 500 millimeter, the applied load or the load is the axial of value 1500 kilonewton. So, I am going to circulate the solution of this problem to you, but before going to the actual solution, let us try to understand the different step to be followed. So, the load is axial on this particular column. It means that whatever the plan area of the column, so what is the centroid of that column? Centroid of the column and the load axis are going to coincide with each other. So, it will become the axial load. At the same time, in the problem statement we are supposed to design the column of size 500 by 500 for the axial load of 1500 kilonewton. Means what? We are supposed to find out what will be the requirement of the reinforcement as a main steel as well as the requirement of the stirrups, or which is also called as the lateral ties. So, that is the part related to the column design. Obviously, we are going to study the column design in detail, but before starting the footing design, how to consider the effect of column design on the footing design, let us try to understand. So, load is axial, so 1500 kilonewton. At the same time, we will try to design of footing. That footing will be now obviously the square footing square for or to support this load. Now, the other important point here one should know is the safe bearing capacity of soil. The SBC of soil here we will assume as 225 kilonewton per meter square. So, in short it is 22.5 ton per meter square, means obviously it is the kind of hard rock. Therefore, we will prefer the isolated footing. The other parameters of our interest, that we will consider the M20 concrete and the rebar or the steel as a Fe415. So, this is the requirement, this is the problem statement. So, we are going to design the column and footing for this requirement. The requirement is 1500 kilonewton is the axial load. The load is applied on a section of a size 500 by 500. So, let us start the design. So, I am going to take help for the calculation. So, first we will start with the design of column. So, I will start the load on column is 1500 kilonewton. So, then the factored load, we are going to implement the limit state methodology, therefore, the load to be converted as a factored load. The factored load, so general designation is PU, you will find in literature. So, this will become 1.5 times this 1500 kilonewton. So, it will come around 2250 kilonewton. 2250 kilonewton is a factored load on the column. Then the other data given in the problem is the area of column. So, obviously, the area is 500 by 500 in millimeter. So, straightforward it is 25 times 40 millimeter square. So, in if you refer the IS 456, so the clause number 39.3 is there. So, where you can have the formula to find out or to quantify the load carrying capacity of footing. So, that formula is like this. So, Pu is equal to 0.4 FCK AC plus 0.67 FY AC. So, this is the formula. So, we can have on in a clause number 39.3 of IS 456. So, let us try to understand what are the variables or what are the data required. So, FCK is the grade of concrete. So, this is called the characteristic strength of concrete. So, the M20, so 20 megapascal, the Fy is the grade of steel. So, obviously, it is 415. ASC is nothing but the reinforcement, the requirement of the vertical reinforcement, or it is also called as main steel. ASC is the area of main steel and AC is nothing but the area of concrete, area of the concrete. So, here the area of concrete, we are supposed to modify the formula to consider the effect of this area of concrete. So, 0.4 FCK, and this AC we will consider now is the difference of this 25 4 times 0 minus ASC. So, ASC that from the column area we will deduct the steel area. So, this is going to add together in 0.67 Fy ASC. So, here the Pu is known to us. So, this is 2250 kilonewton, to convert into the Newton 10 to the power 3, and the rest of things I will just substitute. So, 0.4 times this is 20. So, in bracket we can have the 2540 minus ASC, the ASC is unknown parameter, plus 0.67 Fy ASC. So, I will just Fy is 415 and ASC. So, ASC is the unknown parameter here. So, ASC comes to be 925.75 millimeter square. So, this much area of steel is required. So, this is very straightforward, though it is new for you. So, in column design you will going to understand this particular fact in detail. So, 925.75 millimeter square. So, that is much steel area is required to take care of the axial load of 1500 kilonewton. The other important aspect now, that what should be the minimum number of bars in column. So, as per the 1893, the 1893 is the code which going to refer, which is going to talk on the earthquake resisting design of the structure. So, 6 bars are required, minimum 6 bars of the 6 bars are required in this particular column. Therefore, we are going to opt that strategy and we will try the reinforcement with the 12 mm. So, if you are going to provide the reinforcement by considering the 12 mm bar, and minimum diameter of the bar is also 12 mm as per the IS 1893 or IS 456 is concerned to resist the lateral forces. So, minimum diameter of the bar should be 12 mm. So, here if you consider that, so for your information, so the area of one bar of 12 mm is around 113 mm, and for that of 16 mm bar is around 204 mm. So, directly I will conclude here. So, we will provide the 4 bars of 16 mm plus the 4 bars of 12 mm as the reinforcement. Okay. So, instead of providing the 6 bars, we will try to provide the 8 bars in this particular combination. So, the area is 4 times this will become 201 plus this will become 404 into 113. So, the total area is something 1256 millimeter square, which is more than the ASC required. Hence, okay. So, the area is little bit more compared to this, but the criteria is if I am going to provide the 6 number of bars, the issue is the column is of square size, and if I am going to provide, so let us try to understand what is the issue, why I have opted the 6 number of bars. The column size is something like this. So, if I am going to provide the reinforcement, I should plan the reinforcement at the this corner first, right, and at the same time I can also provide the 2 reinforcement, but the thing is that it is having the 500 mm, this size is 500 mm, and this size or the depth of or you can say the depth or other dimension is also 500. So, if I am going to provide the reinforcement at this particular site, then obviously the amount of the reinforcement on this particular face will be less. So, the more forces will be attract where the reinforcement is heavily placed. So, and these kind of the structures are not going to perform well in the event of the earthquake. So, that is the experience. Therefore, we are going to provide the reinforcement in even manner. So, we will going to provide the reinforcement like this. So, 4 bars we will provide of lesser diameter at the center and 4 bars of heavier dimension we are going to provide at the corner of the column. Okay. So, this is the kind of reinforcement. So, this is the 12 phi bar and this is the 10 phi bar. So, this is how we sorry. So, this is not this is 12 mm and this is 16 mm. Remove this. So, we will try to understand this sketch in detail after completion of the design. So, the first step is over in column design. We have quantified the reinforcement which is called as the main steel for the column. The next subsequent step is the design of lateral ties, which is popularly known as the stirrups of the column. So, the criteria is the first important criteria is about the diameter of the stirrup, so diameter of the lateral ties. So, the criteria is the diameter of lateral tie should not be less than 1/4 of diameter of the main steel. So, to implement this, so this is 1/4 of 16 mm means 4 mm. We have opted the 16 mm bar and 12 mm bar. Out of this, the 16 mm is a maximum bar diameter, the 1/4 of that will be the 4 mm, or 5 mm, which is the more of these two. Therefore, this is the criteria as per the clause 26.5.3.2. The clause number 26.5.3.2 appears in IS 456. So, this is how we are going to fix the diameter of the lateral ties. So, in our case now the we will assume that consider the diameter of lateral tie as 6 mm. So, out of these two values we should try to refer the maximum one. Therefore, the 6 mm is the diameter of the lateral tie. At the same times, the other important aspect is the pitch of lateral tie. Again the same thing 26.5.3.2. So, this is the clause appears in IS 456. So, the pitch of lateral tie and this should not less than this should not less than the three different criteria are again there. One is the least lateral dimension, which is how much? This is 500, because we are having the scope of 500 versus 500. Then the 16 times the diameter of main steel. So, this will become 16 into 16. So, this will become how much? 256 millimeter. Then the other one 48 times the diameter of lateral tie. How much it is? 48 into 6, so 288. So, this is the minimum of this is obviously this. So, this will be the spacing of the stirrups, which is called as the pitch. So, this completes the column design. So, finally, we will summarize the design. So, because of the less time I will not draw the sketch we have drawn, or I will draw the sketch in 2 minutes, no problem. So, I will write here provide 5-6 mm at a distance of 250 millimeter center to center. So, in short I am going to draw the sketch of the cross section of column. So, these are the bars with a 16 mm diameter, and this is the bar with. So, I will write here the 4 bars of 16 mm, whereas 4 bars of 12 mm, and it is again consist of stirrups like this. So, this is the stirrups. So, this is the 5-6 mm, 250 mm center to center. Now, if somebody is interested to understand the ductile detailing of the structure, again one more important code is there. So, you people are going to learn that code in your final year of engineering, that is called as 13920. So, as per 13920 is there. So, one more kind of link, possible link will be like this. So, that is also the kind of provision generally the people are following in the actual practice. So, you people should not worry about this. So, whatever the end design you are going to summarize will be represented or will be considered with a small sketch of the cross section. So, this is about the column design. Then we will start with the design of footing, design of isolated pad, footing pad. So, design of foundation, design of, I will specifically write the square foundation. So, the load on footing how much? 1500 kilonewton. Then we will try to add the self weight of footing. So, approximately it is 10%. So, this is 150 kilonewton. So, this will become 1650 kilonewton. This will become 1650 kilonewton. Okay. So, for 1650 kilonewton, we are supposed to find out the area of foundation required. So, the area of footing pad required. So, this will be the 1650 divided by the shape bearing capacity of soil. So, this is SBC of soil. So, this comes to be how much? 7.33 meter square. So, the footing is a square in nature, therefore, this is that is nothing but the length into breadth, which is exactly same. Therefore, one side of footing, the side of footing will be the area of the under root of this. Why under root? Because it is a square, perfect square. Therefore, one side of perfect square is under root of area. So, under root of 7.33, which comes to be 2.71 meter. So, we will provide obviously the footing area more than this, not less than this. So, I will write here. So, provide the footing of size 2.75 into 2.75 meter. So, this is the footing pad area required. So, obviously, it will give the area how much? 7.56 meter square, which is greater than 7.33 meter square. Hence, we can write it is correct. Hence, okay. So, this is about the fixing of the area. Then at the same times, we should not miss out to find out what will be the effect of this area provided on the footing pad. So, because of this larger area, there will be reduction in the pressure exerted in upward direction. So, that we are supposed to we are going to compute here. So, net pressure acting in upward direction So, net pressure, the pressure will be now the governed by obviously the what is the load on footing, the load was 1500 kilonewton and this is the area provided. The area provided will be the area what we have quantified now is 7.56 meter square. So, this is the value. So, what is the value? 19834 7.11 0.11 and the unit of this will be obviously Newton per meter square. So, this is the upward pressure. So, now the most of the calculations what we will try to address in the rest part will be governed by this value. So, there are two criteria of footing the design means what? The design means what? In case of footing design, the important part what we should contribute or what we are going to design is obviously the depth of footing. So, that is the required entity. So, for that there are two criteria. So, we will try to understand the first one, which is the one is the bending moment criteria and the second one is the punching shear criteria. Let us try to consider the punching shear criteria first. So, the criteria is punching shear criteria. Punching shear criteria of the footing design. So, what is the punching shear criteria? So, let us try to understand the footing or the column will try to pierce into the foundation pad. The column will try to pierce into the foundation pad and we are going to decide what should be the depth of that pad required to resist this piercing action, Okay. So, for that we will going to refer the table number 20 from your IS 456, where the maximum shear stress of a material is generally considered. So, in our case this material is obviously M20 concrete. So, that particular value of the tau C max is 2.8 megapascal. So, what the important thing what we are going to consider, the tau C max value here is 2.8 megapascal, what we are going to refer in this particular part of the punching shear criteria to address the punching shear criteria. So, here the punching load on footing, what will be the punching load? So, that will be the difference of column load, and the resistance from column area, is it not? So, column load is how much? So, this is 1500 kilonewton 10 to the power 3 minus the resistance will given by that upward pressure. So, that value is 198347.11 into what is the column area? Column area is net area of that column. So, that is the 0.5, which is the 500 millimeter and the square of that. So, this is the punching load. So, if you work out this, then 1450 Newton. So, this is the value. So, this now we are supposed to convert to the factored load. So, factored punching load will be obviously this 1.5 times this value 1450413. How much? 2175 619.5 Newton. Now, to find out the depth, this punching load is to be equated with the punching resistance. So, punching resistance means the punching resistance will come from the 4 side of footing. So, it is having the 500 by 500. So, 4 times the 500 is the size multiplied by the depth of footing required and multiplied by this value of the tau c. So, tau c will be governed by the shear stress, it is called as the tau c max, maximum shear stress of the concrete, and it is governed by the grade of steel. So, in our case it is having 2.8. So, this value 217 5619.5. If you equate this, then obviously we will get the depth of footing is something 387 millimeter. So, this is the depth of foundation required from the punching shear criteria. The second criteria is obviously the depth of footing required depth from bending moment criteria. Depth from bending moment criteria. So, here again we will try to understand by drawing a simple sketch. So, we will try to consider so this is the column size. This looks to be something like this. So, this is the plan area. So, this is 500 and this is 2750. This is 2750. So, here the critical section for the bending moment now, the critical section for the bending moment we will try to consider. This is the location of the critical section. So, this is not a critical section for the one way shear or two way shear. So, that is the difference, that is a different thing. So, this is the critical section for bending moment. So, let us work out this critical section first. So, the critical section for bending moment will be how much? So, this is 2750, the length of footing minus the length of column divided by 2. So, how much it is? 1125 mm. So, 1125 millimeter is the critical section for the one way shear. So, this section appears at a distance of 1125 from this side. So, therefore, the bending moment at this critical section will be how much? So, the pressure exerted in upward direction, what is the value? 19833 198,334. The pressure, upward pressure 198,334.11 multiplied by, now the bending moment should be expressed in terms of Newton meter, that will be the SI unit. Therefore, one side of this footing 2.75 into 1.125 square divided by 2. So, this is the value of the bending moment. So, let us see here, this is upward pressure, this is one side and this is, we will consider the critical section at this. Therefore, it is this multiplied by half of this. Okay. So, that will be the formula to get the bending moment. So, what is the value? The value will be 34517.45 Newton meter. So, this is the value of the bending moment. So, this is the value of the bending moment at a critical section. Then we will consider the factored bending moment, that will be the obviously 1.5 times of this. So, 34517.45, how much it is? 517755.68 Newton meter. So, this is the factored bending moment. Now, we will going to design this as a beam as we have discussed earlier. Therefore, what is this bending moment? We will refer this as mu and we will try to equate this with the ME limit. So, mu is obviously the 517755.68 multiplied by 10 to the power 3, just I have converted the Newton meter into the Newton millimeter, which will be the 0.138 FCK BD square. Here the obvious reason is the grade of steel, why we have used that formula. So, grade of steel is 415. Therefore, we will substitute this 0.138, the FCK is how much? 20. The B, the very important point is about this B. So, this B will be this B. Oh yeah, that this is mistake. So, this is grade of concrete, not steel. This is grade of, oh, that formula is governed by the grade of steel, grade of steel. What I mean to say, the formula is governed by the grade of steel. So, this is fine. So, 0.138 FCK is 20. The B, what we are supposed to, what we should use is the minimum possible value of the B, which will resist that movement. So, it is a kind of a trapezoidal, or it is a kind of a isolated footing, where it is having the slanting slide around the periphery. Therefore, the B which appears at top is 500. So, we are going to find out the requirement of the depth at this critical section, and at this critical section the effective value of the breadth is 500, not more than that, because the one more section is at this particular location. So, therefore, the B should be 500 and it should be D square. So, if you work out this, then the value of the D is how much? 612.52 millimeter. So, as this is the lowest part of structure, therefore, obviously the clear cover will be the highest. So, consider clear cover of 60 mm and diameter of steel which is main rebar as 12 mm. So, we are going to we will consider the 12 mm as the diameter of the bars, and we will work out the effective depth up to upper layer of bar. What is this upper layer of bar now? Try to understand. We will try to provide the footing in a kind of mat that will be placed at a distance of 60 mm, which is the clear cover. So, we will going to provide the reinforcement like this. Okay. So, this is the aspect ratio is 1 of this footing plan. Therefore, whatever the reinforcement we will provide in longitudinal direction, the same reinforcement we should try to provide in transfer direction, because the bending moment or the punching shear what we are going to get is the same, right. Therefore, we will try to understand what is the effective depth up to the top layer from the bottom of the footing. So, it is going to add the 60 mm which is the clear cover, then the 12 mm and 12 by 2. Okay. The 60 mm is a clear cover, the 12 mm is one bar and half of the other bar. So, this will comes to be how much? 78 mm. Therefore, overall depth of footing D, which will become 6112 plus 78, this to become 690 mm. But one more important point that always we should keep in mind, that this footing depth is not going to satisfy the requirement for the safe stresses in case of shear. Therefore, generally in a good practice this depth is enhanced by some percentage. So, this will come in mind by practice, otherwise the thing is that we have to repeat the problem, only that the length of the problem will be enhanced. So, what I would like to suggest at this point, that this depth we are going to enhance by 30%. So, any value 20 generally the 20 to 35%. So, this is the range. So, I will write boldly here one comment, increase this depth by 30% to cater need of shear stresses at critical section. So, while implementing the checks for the one way shear and two way shear at those places, we will came to know the importance of this enhancement in the depth. So, if we are going to enhance this depth by 30%, therefore, I will write finally overall depth of footing how much is 897. So, I will write 900 millimeter. So, we will provide the depth of footing as a 900 millimeter. Therefore, the effective depth will be this 900 minus 78, it comes to be 812 mm, 802 mm, sorry, 802 mm is the (822 millimeter). So, this is the effective depth of footing required. So, what is the use of this effective depth? So, on this basis only we will try to quantify the requirement of the steel, So, while computing the percentage of steel, So, here I will write mu BD square. So, mu is how much? Mu was some the factored bending moment. What is the value? 517755 into 10 to the power 3. So, just I have converted the Newton meter into Newton millimeter. So, B is how much?
500.
So, B is the same value 500 and the D is 820 square. So, this mu BD square is the parameter required to compute the percentage of steel. What is the value?
1.50.
So, this value comes to be 1.53%. No, not 1.53, only one, not percent, 1.53. So, the percentage of steel required is given by the formula 1 minus under root of 1 minus 4.6 divided by FCK, it is mu BD square divided by Fy upon FCK. So, this is our regular formula. So, many times we have used this and this is multiplied by one constant we have missed here. So, this is multiplied by the 50 times of this. This is the regular formula. So, before MSc also we have implemented this formula several times. So, 51 minus under root of 1 minus 4.6, FCK is 20, this value is 1.53, under root complete, the Fy is 415 and the FCK is obviously 20. So, if you work out this, then we will going to get the percentage of the reinforcement. What is the percentage of reinforcement?
0.47.
So, we are going to get here 0.47 percentage. So, from this percentage of steel, the area of main steel required will be 0.47 divided by 100 into BD. What is the value of B? 500 and what is the value of D? 822. So, if you work out this, it is 1932 millimeter square. So, generally for this footing pad, the diameter of the bar should be more than 10 mm, that is a regular practice. So, we will provide the bar diameter as 12 mm. So, provide phi 12 mm as main steel and we will work out the number of bars. So, number of bars will be 1932 divided by pi by 4 12 square. How much? How many bars are required? 17 numbers. Or finally, we can we can come with the conclusion, provide 18 bars of phi 12 mm in one direction as main rebar and obviously provide same reinforcement in other direction also. Okay. So, this completes your design aspect. We will discuss the two different checks, that is one way shear and two way shear in next class. Thank you for your patience hearing.